I wanted to explore black and white after a lengthy hiatus, and I started using this cool pen that has a brush on the end. And I go to my blog, and I'll have all the info for the equipment that I used in this video. But the first thing I want to do is just really rough out a very quick thumbnail sketch. And this is a little bigger than normal, but I'm using this is not a waterproof pen. I'll be using a waterproof pen in a few minutes, but for my thumbnails, I just use these kind of little throwaway pens. They're very cheap, and they're perfect for thumbnails. And I'm not going to go back in with any tempera or gouache and paint in with white. So the fact that it's not waterproof is fine. So here I'm just putting in a little bit of detail. I just want to very, very quickly indicate how I want to approach this drawing. So here I've very tentatively started to sketch my composition. I'm looking at my thumbnail as I draw, and I'm using a 3B in this case, and I'm working on a nice, very thick paper. It's kind of like a Bristol, and I'll list that on my site as well. So occasionally I will lapse into high-speed mode. It just gets a little too boring to show you, but I'm just using this brush, and it's just a beautiful brush. Everybody should try it. It's quite amazing. You can go from a really, really thick line to down to a very, very hairline. Now I started this illustration as a illustration for a book project I'm working on, where I'm going to be talking about thick paint and some of the philosophies of thick paint. So I wanted to intersperse the chapters with these illustrations. So these are sort of reminiscent of Rockwell Kent's work, if you know what he does. And you could see there for a second I was using my reduction lens, and that's really important to get the basic gestalt of the image. It's important to get your blacks right. Now I'm sort of approaching the dark side of that mountain very tentatively, and that's okay. You can kind of put in your cross hatching and go back in and just block it in. Of course, you'd lose the time it took you to cross hatch, but you can sort of adjust your values. And I decided I needed a mountain range that was off to the left, and I've just moved it in closer. So what you want to do here basically is use three values. I'm using white, black, and then I use a dashed line as grays. On the back side of this mountain, I'm just using these kind of dashes to put in a gray tone. So everything I'm doing, I'm thinking, is this black, or is this gray, or is this white? In some cases, you can have a white area that has just little dashes in it. It has a little texture into it, but it still reads as white. So you want everything to read as white, black, or gray. And that's a little tricky, and that's why I'm using the reduction lens every once in a while to help me with that. Now I did use a pen once in a while, like a crow pen, but I just love this brush pen so much that I just decided to use it entirely. So it is waterproof, which is amazing too. So it's very nice for this type of illustration. I'm sure that Rockwell Kent would have loved this tool to work with. Over there in the hill, I just put a very light skiff of tone on that. And as I work closer, I'm using thicker lines, a little bit more robust, brush strokes. Here I'm putting that shadow with just very fine lines, and just kind of restating my drawing. If you're not sure where you want to head with a line, you just do it very thin. Here I'm putting in some tone in the sky, and I have trouble with very straight lines, so I actually try to make that line vary a little bit as I move it across, make it squiggle just a little bit. I'm checking my basic darks and lights against my thumbnail sketch, and that's incredibly important. You'll lose your basic design if you don't keep track of your basic light and dark pattern. So I've always, have that little thumbnail right off to the side. Up here, I'm just kind of adding some detail, checking to make sure everything's reading correctly using the reduction lens, and just trying to, get that bold statement kind of. Now here I'm mixing up a little bit of water with some dried gouache, and I've also put a little bit of flex opaque into it to just make it go off my brush a little easier. And I'm just going to kind of break up some of the linear qualities that I see here and there. Sometimes I'll get a line that's too fat, and I'll just lay a white line right beside it. Here I'm, getting my kneaded eraser ready to get rid of all my graphite. Now, once you erase, it does sort of abrade the paper slightly, so make sure that you're pretty much finished.